Good evening, everybody. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting Network alternative commentary for Artur Beterbiev versus Marcus Browne, live from the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada. Joining me tonight is Robert Winfree. How do you do, sir?
Well, your pronunciation of things has already just made my ears bleed a little bit. So
Which part? I said Artur Beterbiev. That's how you pronounce it, no?
Beterbiev.
Beterbiev. Better? Better?
Beterbiev.
Beterbiev?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. He is taking on Marcus Browne tonight for the IBF, the Unified Light Heavyweight Championship. The WBC and IBF titles that Beterbiev currently has. Marcus Browne coming into this fight with a near perfect 24-1 record. He has a loss to Jean Pascal from August 3rd, 2019.
Jean
Pascal, where he lost the WBA interim and WBC silver lightweight titles. All right, so what do you see happening in this fight tonight?
I see this going Beterbiev's way. There's a very real argument he's the best light heavyweight in the world of boxing. I tend to rank him at the top of that division. He features pound for pound, depending on his activity levels and who you're talking to specifically. There are other guys in the discussion I don't mean to downplay. You and Pat covered Dmitry Bivol earlier this week, I believe, or earlier this month, certainly. And Bivol's certainly a very talented fighter. I think Beterbiev, excuse me. I started pronouncing
now you're doing it.
I started pronouncing it wrong, heard it pronounced correctly, and I'm trying to correct myself now as I go.
Okay.
I tend to rank Beterbiev as the best 175 pounder in the world. He's kind of auditioning for a Canelo fight here more than anything else. I mean, I'm not trying to sell.
That's been the scuttlebutt that I've heard too. Is that this is that after this, I think after the Plant fight, Canelo was looking to move back up to light heavyweight.
Well, he's been talking about a cruiserweight fight.
Mm-hmm.
And they've kind of floated that idea, but there's a lot of moving parts there. And no one quite knows what Canelo's going to do with his combination of ambition, skill, and the behind-the-scenes finagling. He might, now that he's unified super middleweight, there's a non-trivial chance, given that he did find success up here at light heavyweight when he knocked out Sergey Kovalev.
Mm-hmm.
He might, I don't know if he still has that belt or not. He might have vacated it, but forgive me, there's just too many belts to keep track of the minutia of all of them. He might try to come back up to light heavyweight and try to unify belts here. Bearing in mind, if he does so, that might be one of the most impressive accomplishments in the history of boxing.
There's a fight, I believe, January 29th. I don't have it in front of me. I got to look it up real quick. The same night as the Royal Rumble. That's why I wasn't paying too close attention to it.
Well, we know which circus act of those two options will get your viewing experience.
That's not the point.
I don't begrudge anyone their professional wrestling fandom. Lord knows.
Okay, so this is the Makabu versus Chunu fight, which is cruiserweights for Makabu's WBC title. And
Makabu's the guy they're fishing about, and they're kind of probing a Canelo fight against him, possibly.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Given that he's a little bit older, a little bit washed up, not a big cruiserweight. Like, if Canelo's going to cherry pick a fight at cruiserweight, he would be the guy to do it against. That's why they've kind of been floating that.
So it could go either way. He could start to slide over into light heavyweight or into cruiserweight, depending on where his interest lies and where the money's at. Probably more so where the interest lies. I don't think he has to worry about money at this point. But hey, the fight's about to start here. So before
we're doing the ring introductions. Yeah.
What does Marcus Browne have to do to pull the upset off here?
Beterbiev looked a little bit slow he came back from a non-trivial layoff, I believe earlier this year. Got a late stoppage. A lot of stick and move, I think would certainly serve him well. Beterbiev he's good everywhere. I want to stress that. This is a very, very talented fighter. Whenever you get heavier guys ranked pound for pound, it's because they have demonstrated good skill. In addition to just, power and everything that goes along with that. He's a very skilled fighter. He tends to do a bit more thudding, kind of like grinding fighting, like he likes to wear you down. So if Browne can stick and move, keep it very, very technical, keep the engagements a bit more kind of fencing, joust in and joust out, I think that would serve him well. Whereas Beterbiev, he wants to make this a gnarly fight. He's got power, he's got skill. He's not the most fleetest of foot, which might be something Browne could try to exploit. I don't know how well Browne's legs will hold up over 12 rounds with what Beterbiev likes to do, but I think that's what he should try to do. I mean, Browne scored a pretty significant upset when he beat Badou Jack, and then he dumped the bed big time when he lost to Jean Pascal. That was not a fight he was supposed to lose.
Gotcha. All right, just to do some bookkeeping here. If you are listening on either the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page or W2Mnet.com Facebook page or our Twitch channel, go ahead, leave us a comment, put your fight predictions in. You can ask us questions. If you're engaged with us, we'll be engaged with you. So welcome aboard the Radulich and Broadcasting Network alternative commentary train as we call Artur Beterbiev versus Marcus Browne. Top Rank presents on ESPN Plus tonight. Yay, I didn't have to pay for this one. Well, I did in the long run, but it's not a pay-per-view, is my point.
It came with a subscription. We'll call that a win.
We're number one. All right. So really relate, like in 30 seconds or less, in 10 words. I saw they threw Paul Heyman a beating on SmackDown tonight.
He ate a Superman punch from Roman Reigns and sold it like death.
Cool. So that's what I needed to hear. I wonder what the next story here is.
Look up the closing segment for this week's SmackDown. It was genuinely great.
Okay.
Everything else was crap.
Well, that's about the size of it with SmackDown.
My official rating for that episode on the 411 Legend, a scale of like 0 dumpster fire to 10 perfect, I give it a 4.9.
You should do 2 ratings, one for everything not including Roman Reigns and just the Roman Reigns segment.
The Roman Reigns segment was like a 9. Everything else would have been a 3.
That should be your new gimmick. I am rating the show minus Roman Reigns and then only Roman Reigns.
I only get one spot on the format to give an official rating.
Okay. All right, I think we are about to get underway here.
And we're finished. We finished ring introductions, or we're finishing them with Beterbiev, and then we'll get the referee's final instructions, and we'll get off to the races.
All right. So in theory, though, Beterbiev should, everyone's wearing masks. Beterbiev should.
They're in Montreal. I'm shocked they're not spaced.
Or in space.
No, just like we. My issue with Montreal. This is one of the things about this fight. Beterbiev, despite being Russian by birth, he fights out of Montreal. He spent, I think, most of his life there. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of the hometown boy in this one.
Cool. All right, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing in the light heavyweight division.
Final bits of the tail of the tape. We see Browne with a slight edge in height and reach. 1 inch on both of those. I don't expect it to play too much of a difference when it's that close.
Beterbiev with a 16-0 record, and we are ready to begin. Here we go.
Browne fighting southpaw, which is his normal stance.
All right.
Not looking good for him already, as Beterbiev is backing him into the ropes with just footwork and ring craft.
That was my first thing. I was like, oh, well, gosh, we're already into the ropes here. Beterbiev stalking Marcus Browne.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit of what he likes to do already. Again, he likes to kind of just beat you up. He'll punch you in the arm. He's not a wild puncher in the sense that he'll punch you in the arms, but he'll beat your shoulders up if you give him half a chance, and he's a pretty good infighter.
Well, for Marcus Browne's credit, he is sticking that jab out there. He's come ready to fight. My problem is that he's throwing the jab and stepping back at the same time.
Yeah, his ring craft is already a problem. Now that's something that can be corrected. So again, we're not talking about instant panic here, but that's not that he
Well,
can't get on the ropes very often.
I don't
Beterbiev,
know if he's trying to lure Beterbiev in or if he's just tentative and he's throwing it and then quickly backing off because he doesn't want to get El Kabonged.
a little of a little column A, a little column B. It's the first round. Everybody does some feeling out, but yeah, see what happens when they close up. That the physicality of Beterbiev once you get in close proximity to him is a real problem. He has overwhelmed a lot of guys like that.
I gotta say, Marcus Browne though, for his part, he's still in this first round. He just went to the body there on him, but he's still doing. Oh God, this is now driving me crazy because what he just did there is he flicked that jab out, immediately took 2 steps back while flicking the jab, and backed himself right into the corner.
Literally into the corner, then eats a right hand as he tries to circle out. This is why you don't put yourself in the corner unless you're a madman like Vasily Lomachenko against
this guy is contesting for 2 major titles. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, he's doing some decent body work as he's kind of circling. It's not deterring Beterbiev yet, but it's something you're going to have to address. But yeah, we see here just
a short left hand there, short left hook there in the clinch from Beterbiev.
He does really good work in close. He's a really good in fighter and a really good clinch fighter, especially for boxing. And we see the problem that Browne's going to run into the more he lets himself get backed into the ropes. It's a nice jab there.
They clinch up, and he gives him a short right there into the body.
And which is what he should be doing. If you're going to tie up, find your offense where you can get it. But yeah, instantly along the ropes, which is not good.
So Marcus Browne's footwork, at the very least, seems like, hey, he goes for the double leg.
Never a good sign. Never a good sign when you're the first boxer to try the old double leg.
That has to be our catchphrase. It's not a good sign when you go for the double leg in boxing.
That left hand, he's thrown it low a few times, has Browne. I don't know that the ref warned him about it once, but the ref needs to be on that. That's not a foul that should be allowed to continue.
So to be clear to our good friends that are following us on social media, wherever we're streaming this this particular commentary,
all over the place,
I am not cheering against Marcus Browne. I'm not cheerleading for him. I'm calling it as I see it. So when I say the following, don't oh, you're just a Beterbiev stan. Believe me, I have no dog in this hunt. I'm doing it because I like boxing.
Mark has his favorites.
None of these guys are Deontay Wilder.
Not in this fight. not in this fight.
His footwork is way flat. He's not completely stepping over himself, but I don't for all the. So we've called a couple of fights now where a lot of guys were fighting off the back foot. They were fighting defensively, but they were moving very smoothly. He is just kind of plodding along, and he's backing up.
Yeah, he's getting sucked into the kind of motion that Beterbiev likes. His ring generalship is a real problem. It's one thing to be okay fighting while backing up. He's not done a great job of doing that. He's done a decent job of avoiding being tagged. But
look at that. He is charging forward. And he gave a bunch of
body shots
punches into the body with his right hand before the ref was like, what do you think you're doing? Harry Broadhurst, friend of the show, and my partner when we do TV parties on Independent Wrestling, which we'll be doing Ring of Honor Final Battle and Beyond Wrestling Fet Forever, says, let's not get hit in the balls. You're right, Harry. Punching in the balls in boxing is bad.
And Browne has gone to that several times. Again, that's on the ref to kind of make sure this doesn't continue the trend.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice stuff from Beterbiev's. Again, his pressure and his ring cutting is really good. He's got a good defensive posture going. He's getting jabbed a little bit. You can see some discoloration under his left eye, but it's not bad.
If Beterbiev were a little bit more aggressive, Browne would have nowhere to go.
He's still warming up. He's still getting a read on the guy, but this is what he does. And then once he gets a little bit more comfortable, that's when he really kind of goes to work. Browne's jab has been okay, but he's not really landed anything else clean. He's tried a few body shots, and I give him credit for that. For the record, I think he won the first round. Did Browne?
Marcus Browne did?
Yeah. Just on activity more than anything else.
Here's what I'll tell you. And I was thinking about that. On the one hand, he threw more volume. I don't know if he landed as much, but I still would not have wanted to be him in that first round.
I
So
would not have wanted to be him either, but I do think you have to score who lands more punches at some point.
I guess that's where the contention lies, is who do you think landed more? I'm not entirely convinced he did, but I guess we'll see the punch that soon.
Well, the stats are iffy. I mean, they're not always accurate because they're done in real time. Like I said, just first round, I would have edged it to Browne. You might feel differently. This round's a much better round for Beterbiev. He's gotten Browne into even worse positions around the ring. He's just not really unloading with his offense yet. He seems content to let Browne kind of work his shoulders and arms a bit more than he should over these first few rounds, and then pour it on later.
Marcus Browne in these last 40 seconds is putting up a bit more of a fight. He's getting a little aggressive with Beterbiev, which is what he has to do. He needs to stay sharp. He needs to keep bouncing. He needs to move. He needs to not take a straight left to the face. Oy.
Which he just did.
Yeah, sure did, buddy. And he's backed up right. He's fighting his way out of the corner then, but I don't like that he's on that clothesline like that, where he's just back and forth.
Yeah, it's good to be able to fight out of the corner. It's bad when you have to do it multiple times around.
Well, I'd like to see him circle a bit more. We talk about guys fighting off the back foot. He's not really fighting off the back foot. He's just backing up. That round is over, and I want to. First of all, Harry has a question. He said, "What's worse, ball punches or ear bites?" I'm going to go with ear bites, sir. The other thing he says,
if you mean worse to take, ear punches, definitely.
No, ear bites.
Ear bites. Yeah. Any bite is going to be worse to take as a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
If you mean which is the worst foul in terms of how the ref's going to react to it, look, biting is a deliberate choice to get out of a fight. Full stop.
He also wants to say that he appreciates your MMA reviews on 411. You have fans, Robert Winfree. I know you can't take a compliment to save your life.
I really can't. I have such a low opinion of everything I do. I can't.
You are loved and appreciated in the world of combat sports, whether you like it or not. You celebrity, you.
I am not a celebrity. And first of all, Harry, I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you. I thank anyone, by the way, if you're a boxing fan and you do appreciate MMA as well, I cover that over at 411mania.com, and I host a podcast. I'll do a proper plug at the end, but I just wanted to say that now, and I thank you all very much for those of you who do follow my work, as Beterbiev gets right back on the front foot.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends with us tonight. We graciously appreciate you hanging out with us. Round 3 has begun here. We're
right there from Beterbiev. Yeah, Browne's footwork, like you mentioned, it's not great. He can't kind of get
to the body there.
That was a nice hook. That was a nice body shot. Yeah, he can't do much damage to the head. Beterbiev's guard is too tight. So he started going to the body, and the ref finally gets after Browne a little bit for some of his dirtier tactics. Beterbiev started jabbing a bit more. It's a good sign for him.
Beterbiev is, you'll notice right now, he's starting to pick up the pace a little bit. There was some faster body movement.
He's a little bit like an avalanche. If you ever watch one when they start, they don't start as much, but they pick up and nice shots from Beterbiev there as they exit the clinch. The fact that Browne is stuck doing a lot of, and if you watch his body, nice right. If you watch Browne's body punches as they're in the clinch, he's not getting his weight into them. They're arm punches, which, don't get me wrong, they don't feel great, but watch his legs and his weight when he throws them. He's flurrying too fast, and that just takes all the pop out of them as he's back in terms of
excitement and just a viewing experience. I like when Marcus Browne charges forward, throwing lefts and rights, like a little choo-choo train. I don't know how effective it is, but it looks
not
fun.
Very. Decent left hook from Beterbiev there as he clinches up. Yeah, this is starting to go south for Browne in a hurry.
Yeah.
Also, for the record, everyone, just so you know, Mark and I have to watch these things on mute because we have to be able to hear each other, and we don't have fancy setups where we can monkey with those into different ears or whatnot. So I can't hear the impact of the punches, and neither can Mark. So a little bit of context for something that you might be seeing when you have the full auditory experience as Beterbiev looks to unload in the corner. Yeah, he's plugging. Ooh, nice left.
Yeah, I mean,
plugging away.
Browne is doing his part to stay in this fight.
He's trying, but look at the efficacy of Browne's punches. He's not getting through all that often. Whereas when Beterbiev throws, it's in slightly smaller volume. In fact, he tends to throw no more than like 2 at a time. But he's landing, and this is getting worse and worse. And
Okay,
this,
no, Beterbiev just opened up with him again.
There he goes. Yeah, when he goes,
the
boy,
whole
does he
demeanor
go.
of his face changed in that exchange.
Yeah,
whatever happened in the last 30 seconds, he's not loving it, and he's like, all right, it's time to go into the next gear here.
Whatever read he needed to make, he's got it.
Marcus Browne with a hook there that looked like it was behind the ear.
A little bit. As the ref was breaking him up. Browne's starting to fight a little bit dirty.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say it because I was definitely thinking it. Marcus Browne going, well, if I can't win clean, I can certainly take him into the ditch with me, which I respect. We have said this on many an occasion. Look, if you don't have the skill to beat the guy clean, fight dirty, man. Do what you need to do within the confines of good sportsmanship.
And look, I can forgive a couple of low blows. Look, sometimes it happens. Sometimes people are moving. I accept that it does happen on occasion. You throwing a punch towards the back, you rabbit punching the guy as the ref is breaking you up, like that's a deliberate choice you're making, and it's not a good one. Yeah, again, we see some highlights here. Browne's headshots are just not getting through cleanly at all, whereas Beterbiev, when he unloads, he's finding success. So I certainly give Beterbiev the last round. 2, I suppose, could maybe go either way, but
we are in round 4 now.
As far as the momentum, yeah, round 4 has begun. Momentum is all with Beterbiev here as he resumes stalking forward.
And okay, I don't want to keep making the same MMA joke, but Marcus Browne keeps ducking in and clinching around the waist. Jokingly, I would say, "Oh, look, he's trying to shoot," but
he's going for the double.
Oh,
that was a good combination.
Blocked back by Beterbiev there, and Marcus Browne cut Beterbiev. Yes, cut him on the forehead. Oh, look at the blood, Robert Winfree.
It's not a bad cut at all. Look at where
it's just everywhere at the moment is my point.
Head wounds bleed. Oh wait, sorry, I have a different angle on that. That is not a good cut.
No, I was like, if you say so.
No. So I didn't see where it was.
Cut on his forehead that is bleeding.
Okay, hang on. I need a better look at this after the doctor wipes it off just a bit, because if that cut is here, then that's nothing. Like it's
audio format.
On the forehead, up high between the eyes. I have to point a little bit here. If this is where the cut is, that's nothing. It's going to bleed a lot because that's a bad spot in terms of blood, but that's not a fight stopper. If it's here along the eyebrow, that's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
We get a highlight. That might have been a head.
I mean, it's low, but that would be what we would call in wrestling a nice gig.
Yeah, and if that's all it is, that's not even close to a fight stopper.
Right.
That might have been a headbutt. Yeah, it will bleed a lot, but unless it's really deep, that's not a fight stopper.
Well, the other thing is where it is. It's between. Ooh. we got a fight
here. As Beterbiev.
We got such an angry fight here. These two are not messing around anymore. And Beterbiev wants to put an end to this before he gets blood in his eyes.
Yeah, he is. I think that cut might have been caused by a headbutt. The angle we have is facing Beterbiev on that replay, and there is a punch that lands. I don't mean to, and I'm certainly not accusing Browne in this case of deliberately headbutting. They were just in close, and their heads banged, I think.
All right, Beterbiev is now.
He is up. Ooh, he's a bad boy.
Unloading hooks on Marcus Browne. Marcus Browne is covering up, trying to return fire to save his life here.
But Browne might be. Browne's right eye. It might just be blood from Beterbiev, but that doesn't look good.
Beterbiev looking for a big opening to put an end to this fight.
Yeah, he's got Browne stationary in the corner.
Up into the corner, snug as a bug in a rug.
Yeah, that's a bad look if you're Chris Browne.
Marcus
Browne. Well, him
Chris
too.
Browne's a different fighter. I don't want to do the rim shot.
It would be a bad look for him too.
I'll tell you what, though, Marcus Browne, for all the beating he's taking in, he's fighting back. He went to the body real well.
That was low.
That one was low. Punch below the belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me say the following: he's not out of the fight. I respect that he's taking a few punches and then throwing back to try and keep Beterbiev honest. But this is not where he needs to be if he's going to be successful at all. He's going to get torn up here. This is where Beterbiev loves to be.
After this fight, someone work with him on his footwork and circling, because him backing up into a corner so Beterbiev can just take, open face, wide open hooks on him is not great for the longevity of his career.
Let's get a
do you see that? You can see into his brain.
Hang on. That was a bad angle. Let me get a look after the towel comes off of this here.
I'm pretty sure I saw an eye come out. A third one.
You are a ridiculous human being sometimes.
Is that a unicorn horn I see?
Let me have a good look. And once the cut man gets on. Oh, that's not okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Don't get me wrong. Like that's
worse before they put the towel on it. It looked
like
there was blood
in there was blood in places that made it look deeper than it was. Yeah, that was a headbutt. As we see how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
From the other angle, their heads just knocked together. Again, Browne did not do that intentionally. His low blows are probably intentional at this point, but that clash of heads was just two guys in close, and your heads banged.
All right, for those of you listening, watching on Radulich Broadcasting Network Facebook page or W2M Net Facebook page or Twitch, we appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you've got a comment,
give us a like, give us a follow. If you're on Twitch, follows are free.
If you have a comment on the fight, feel free to type them in.
Checking on Browne here. They're checking on. Oh, okay, yeah. Browne is not. I mentioned it. Browne's left eye, or right eye rather, did not look good.
Mm-hmm.
The doc checking on both of them.
Oh God, wouldn't it be terrible if they stopped the fight now?
There's no reason they should stop this over this cut.
No, but here's what I'll tell you, and I meant to say this before. So the cut is in the forehead between his eyes.
It's high enough.
It's not the worst thing ever, but as they sweat and as they fight, it's not that long of a leap to him constantly getting blood in his eyes as they fight. Like if I were him and he seems to be on the same page I am, I would seek to end this as quickly as possible.
Right.
Not that Marcus Browne is giving him a tremendous amount of opportunities.
Blood in the eyes is only a problem if it's really consistent, and here I don't think it's going to be a consistent problem. It's not great. But it's not deep enough and it's not long enough to really warrant a stoppage here again, unless the doctor.
No, but if Marcus Browne actually gets a degree of luck here, that cut can be made worse.
Yeah, that's true. It is a target for Browne to aim at. That is 100% true.
And where it is, it's a good target. It's an easy target to hit.
It is, but by the same token, it's hard to get that to tear open further in a way that might force the stoppage.
Marcus Browne still game, just landed a hook on Beterbiev.
He's still swinging, but he's not landing. Is his real problem here. Like he gets backed up like this, and then he lands a jab here or there, but that's kind of just the price you pay for getting into this proximity. He's not found a whole lot of power punches the last couple of rounds.
Left hook there by Beterbiev seems it was more instinctual than it was purposeful.
It was a decent little short left, but yeah, Browne's getting desperate. I mean, it's not.
Beterbiev again just opened up a big series of punches in a combination there, and he is firmly planted and swinging for the fences here against Marcus Browne, who won't get off the bloody ropes. No pun intended.
Well, they're not that bloody yet. You can see the difference in their infighting. Watch when Beterbiev goes to work. He's not just punching with his arms. He's moving his body.
Yeah.
He's leveraging his weight to get maximum power out of that.
Did you see that? So Beterbiev kind of shuffle steps forward. Marcus Browne backs directly into the ropes.
Browne is
repeating myself.
Browne is overreacting to every feint that Beterbiev throws his way, which is a bad sign.
Nice headlock there by Beterbiev.
Well, you do that to force the break. When you wrap the head like that, the ref's going to break the clinch. It's one of the
Beterbiev knocks Marcus Browne's head back. That's at least the second or third time I've seen that in 2 rounds.
He's got a good read on an uppercut when he gets in close too. The cut on Browne, which is around his right eye, is not nearly as bloody as the one Beterbiev has, but I can tell you which one of those will stop a fight sooner.
So I like Marcus Browne's attitude.
Nice
so Beterbiev is just opening up on him. Marcus Browne's covering up, and everything is getting through, but enough is, and then he just
Enough
smiles at Beterbiev. I would rather they're gonna stop this fight.
The round's gonna. I think he'll see the end of the round.
But he can't do that for another round. He can't
do that again. No.
Yeah, he can't just sit there and cover up and let the guy just tag him all day long, because not everything from Beterbiev is getting through. But enough is.
You and I can almost finish each other's sentences. It's crazy.
As Alexa said, you're one of my work wives, you and Jesse. All right, so
I think Browne. Here's the other thing about Browne at this point. This might be a guess on my part, but I think his legs are kind of shot. I think that's part of why he's getting his ring craft is a problem. That can be addressed. Even in the corner, you can kind of address that. Yeah, that cut on Beterbiev is not that bad. I mean, it's going to leave a nice scar, but once they get once the cut man gets at it, it's really not that bad. That's not a fight stopper at all.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
So hang on. Let me get back to my point. I got sidetracked there by the gore, which I love. I'm part gorehound. What do you want me to do? I don't think Browne's legs are all the way with him. He can get to his stance, but I don't think he can be perpetually mobile the way he needs to be to stay away from this Russian maniac.
Which lends itself to this ending within the next round or two if this keeps up.
I tend to think that's what's going to happen. He's not trying to get out of the. He's gone back and forth here trying to get out of the corner. Beterbiev is cutting him off, and his legs aren't quite where they need to be to really make an escape attempt. And Beterbiev just effortlessly cuts him off. And whenever Browne feels in peril, what's he do? He tries the double leg.
We had a comment here. I'm not going to. I'll put it up on screen. But somebody's making the point here, a friend of ours following us on Facebook, that Beterbiev is leaking blood pretty good. I mean, I know you were saying, and they're doing their best to close that cut, but I do think it's deep enough to where it doesn't take much for it to start leaking again. And as I said before, the more it leaks, the more it spreads. The more it spreads, the harder it is to keep out of your bloody eyes.
No. Between that spot and the depth of the cut, that's. I mean, if you mentioned from professional wrestling, that he's not. This is the kind of blade job Abdullah the Butcher might do,
with a fork.
Yeah, it's going to keep bleeding, but he's not going to lose enough blood to really be a problem. I don't think. Head wounds bleed a lot in terms of relative to size, but he's not going to be, I think, overly fatigued by that. It's just unfortunate. It adds to the drama, but that's not a fight. There's a reason the doctor took a look at that and then said fight on. It's not a fight ending. They're
shooting this. They keep shooting it with the camera firmly on Beterbiev, so I can't get a good look at Marcus Browne's damage.
His right eye is starting to get more damage. Beterbiev's done a good job of finding it with his left, be that a jab or a hook.
He just scored a big left there. Good, follows it up with a 1-2. Backs him up
left
against
hook
the
to
ropes.
Close the door.
Yep.
Yeah, that eye of Browne is not great, and Beterbiev starting to find the uppercut. You can't see the cut on Browne is, again, it's not big, but it's around the eye, which is much worse than on the forehead. And it's not, and Beterbiev is doing a much better job of targeting the cut than Browne is on Beterbiev.
Marcus Browne's only hope for surviving at this point is to get in the phone booth, keep clinching up.
He can't survive there. Like, that's not even a real hope for him. That's where Beterbiev is quite a good operator there.
Standing directly in front of Beterbiev and getting whacked is a better idea.
He's got to get more mobile, and I don't think his legs are there.
You're not wrong, and I almost suggested that, but we also just said in the same round he has no legs left. And down again.
Ooh, nice left. That stunned him. And do we get the knockdown? No, we do not.
No, it wasn't. No. They kind of bull rushed into the ropes. It wasn't a knockdown. But here's the thing.
You can't have it. Rocked him good there.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say he has no legs and get on your bicycle.
Hang on. You asked, what's his best line? What's his best hope? His best hope is avoiding this, right? Now, whether he has the physical tools to do that at the moment is a different story.
Right, but that's the point that I'm making. With the tools he has left,
he's got to hope his corner is smarter than he is.
I'm telling you, man, you just rush in there with your guard up and just keep holding. I mean, he has no hope of winning this fight on points.
No, he's big down. He is big down at
so
this
my
point.
point being, like, get in there, keep holding him, wear out his arm so that it's harder for Beterbiev to throw punches. You gotta exhaust him at this point.
And you're not gonna. That man has an engine. And
our friend here making the point is, as I said before, the other thing is that if he can, try to work that cut. Try to open that cut up as best you can.
It's one of the unfortunate things about forehead cuts. It's not that you can't make them worse, but it's real hard to make them worse with boxing gloves.
Yeah.
You need a bony protrusion to kind of work. That's why the eye cuts are worse, because they do get worse the more you touch them. A forehead cut, it might get a little bit worse, but if all you have is, again, a boxing glove to kind of punch at it, the forehead's a fairly round surface, so it's probably not going to get much worse. As Browne utilizing his 60-second rest to have regained a bit of pep in his step, that will be gone in another 10 seconds or so, as he's on the ropes again.
And we're in round 7 here. I'm at a minute in, and yeah, as you were saying, Marcus Browne still throwing punches. He's starting to circle a little bit more.
He's not out of the fight in terms of his spirit, right? He's still there, and he still has the physical capability of punching back.
He was circling for that first minute there. He started circling.
Not anymore. Ooh,
yeah. Now we're back to playing the meat from Rocky. It's just okay.
Body shot from Beterbiev, and Browne, his upper body movement is going away too, which is a bad sign.
Oh, there it is. There's your knockout. Ooh. Big left hand from Artur Beterbiev.
That was a right.
No, it was a left that he hit him with.
It was a straight right. That's what did the damage. Browne is southpaw, not Beterbiev. Unless you're way ahead of me, and you might be. Hang on, I might be catching up to you. There was a knockdown that was a straight right.
We'll see it again on the replay. We can.
I mean, there was a left coming behind it, but I think the right is what did the damage.
You may be right about that.
He's got Browne back on the ropes. Ooh,
yeah,
that left hand. Browne is rapidly running out of ideas. His corner should stop this.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point, I don't know why they're not stopping it.
They might want to give him the round. I don't know why they would. I'd throw in the towel here, but oof.
To Marcus Browne's credit, he's fighting back. He's just taking it off
and hits another low blow.
Marcus Browne leaning on Beterbiev, and Beterbiev just
he is not having
pounding upside the head.
He is not giving that guy a chance to rest at all.
No. Look, all the credit in the world to Marcus Browne. He is taking quite the licking.
He's taking a beating,
and he's standing with Beterbiev. I mean,
he's becoming a heavy bag for the last 10 seconds.
Well, yeah, this is a little uncomfortable to watch, and it's not like I don't like the violence either, but
that left hook there near the end of that round, that reopened the cut on Browne's right eye. He might be saved by the doctor after that one if that cut got really damaged. And if not, his corner should probably stop this. There's no point.
Yeah, the point that I was getting to there is that while all the respect in the world to Marcus Browne for being able to absorb all those punches, there comes a point where his health is at risk. And
in fairness to Browne, I think he's lost pretty much every round, but he made a fight out of it in some of those places.
No, this is a great, exciting fight. It's better than some of the ones we've had to pay for lately in terms of just pure action.
Better than all those. Yeah, see, that was the right hand after the left to the body that dropped him. That left hook coming behind was kind of perfunctory.
Okay.
Yeah, look, this is better action than you're going to get out of that heavyweight pay-per-view at the start of the year in boxing. Luis Ortiz, right? You're gonna have to pay for Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, I would love to talk to the people who are gonna buy that pay-per-view.
I appreciate
that. Day one.
I appreciate that cut, man, leaving a giant swath of Vaseline on Beterbiev's forehead, but the ref should not have allowed that.
Hey, we got a question here from YouTube, and we greatly appreciate you hanging out with us and being interactive. They want to know if Beterbiev's cut is from a butt or a punch. What did we decide it was on?
I'm pretty sure it's a headbutt. It's hard to cut the forehead, and the second angle that we had, the angle where looking at Beterbiev's face was a little bit unclear. The angle from over Beterbiev's shoulder looking at Browne was much clearer. their heads did knock.
Okay.
And it's rare that you get boxing punches that open up the forehead like that. So it's usually bone on bone. In this case, the head. If you watch MMA, you tend to get elbow cuts there I shouldn't say all the time, but it's much more common because guys are throwing, again, bone on the elbow to the bone on the forehead. Your skin will part like the Red Sea.
We are over a minute into this round.
I think Browne's corner told him this is the last round we're going to give you. If you don't show us something, we're going to stop this. So he came out and he put forth a good effort for the first minute. I mean, that was his best minute in like four rounds.
When I started to call it, Beterbiev was just shoving him off with one arm.
Yeah, but you're trying to stop this Russian meat grinder from just rolling. Ooh, nice right.
We had a comment from a friend of ours on Facebook. The cut is similar to Badou Jack's cut when he fought Browne.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Ooh, nice uppercut. Yeah, Beterbiev has a... Okay, here's the real problem Browne's running into at this point. His timing is... Beterbiev has his timing. So he's catching him as he's stepping. He's catching him between movements. That lets him catch you cleaner, and that tends to lead to better results. Watch how Beterbiev's punches are landing when they're kind of in distance. The head snaps back, in part because you're on one foot stepping. If you've got somebody's timing to where you can catch them on the half beat like that, boxing has a rhythm. If you can get them from going, I suck at snapping my fingers, but hang on, I'm going to try. If we're here, on rhythm, and then you go here, that's devastating. That's a mark of you have that other guy's number in spades if you can do that. I will give Browne credit. He's fought okay this round. He's got his second wind a little bit, it seems. So we got about 20 seconds left here, and there's a good right. See, again, in distance, he's timing him with every one of those punches. It's a bad look. Like when that starts happening, you're in real trouble.
Marcus Browne is
another right,
devoid of any kind of strategy at this point. He's just punching and trying to survive. And it's like, now if you're his corner, you're like, okay, well, you're not going to win this on points. You're seemingly not going to knock this guy out, but he's still actively fighting. That's a hard call to make.
I give Browne, look, if there was concern from his corner, like, we can't let you do the 8th round again, we just can't, which I don't think they should. Like, if he had performed in the 9th like he had in the 8th, or I think that's where we are. Sorry, I apologize if I'm backwards on that, or if I'm a round off. I think they should have stopped it if he'd had the same type of performance as he did the last round. He came out this round and showed a lot more life.
Yeah.
Now, he's still losing, and I still think there's an argument to stop this fight for his own good. But if your concern was you're turning into a punching bag and nothing else, he's not doing that anymore. He started to fight back a bit more here. So, again, some signs of life there. He may have only prolonged...
You're in for an action fight when the ref is covered, when the referee is covered in blood too.
He is.
Good
that
grief.
Was a lovely blue shirt will be salmon by the end of the evening.
All right, here we go. Round 9 of 12.
Yeah, sorry. If you had an 8th round like you had the 7th, I think you would have had to stop that fight. The fact that he came out in the 8th and put more of a fight into things, I think that bought him this round from his corner, if nothing else.
Artur Beterbiev moved him around a bit, stationed him where he wanted him.
He is spinning him like a top.
Uppercut drops him.
Oh, that was a lovely punch, man. He is just unloading.
That was a textbook uppercut.
Body first, get the elbows down even more, get him out a little bit instead of
we're
tight.
Done.
Yeah, he's done. And that's a good call. Like,
yep.
He that 8th round, he rallied as hard as he could. I give him credit for that. It does not make up for all the ball shots he threw.
So if you're Canelo and you're with your team and you're watching this, and you can either fight the winner of the Makabu fight or you can fight this guy, I'm 99.9% sure you take the Makabu fight. Yeah.
Beterbiev was always a tough fight for Canelo for a couple of reasons. One, he's good in close, and Canelo likes to... It's not that Canelo is bad there. Canelo's a very good fighter everywhere. I'm not trying to throw shade at the man's skills here. But a bigger man who's good in close against him is a problem. Look, he might be able to outbox Beterbiev because Canelo's a very smooth boxer.
Mhm.
His trunk movement and his defense is very, very good. I'm not saying it would be a foregone conclusion if they fought,
Yeah.
but that's a stylistically tough matchup for him. If Canelo decides he wants to give light heavyweight another go instead of go up to cruiserweight, I think he takes aim at Dmitry Bivol, which is a much more winnable fight for him. Not an easy fight necessarily. Ooh, body to uppercut, beautiful, beautiful stuff from Beterbiev there. And again, watch his body as he throws those. It's subtle, but it's how you maximize power in those spaces.
So right now, across the board, we've got Beterbiev, who is the unified champion. He's got
two of the four.
He's got he's got the WBC belt and the IBF belt. That was what was on the line tonight. Joe Smith Jr. has the WBO, and as you said, Dmitry Bivol has the WBA. So, what do you think?
I forgot about Joe Smith. Joe Smith's got a fight coming up. I seem to recall, he just had either that or he just had one. Forgive me, but one of those two. So if you're Canelo, you've got your pick here. You've got Beterbiev, which I think is probably the last. If he does want to unify, and I mean this in all sincerity, if he wants to unify light heavyweight, I think Beterbiev is the last boogeyman he goes after.
So where I was going with this is then what do you do if you're Beterbiev, and you want to, you just had a really good showing here on Top Rank on ESPN Plus. You're going to want to look for a money fight. You're going to want to keep your name out there in the mainstream, or as mainstream as one gets in boxing. What do you do next?
I think again, there's a lot of kind of balls in the air here that are being juggled. I think if Canelo does not want to fight Beterbiev, if Canelo decides whether that's someone else he fights at light heavyweight or cruiserweight, whatever the case. I think if you're Beterbiev, you might angle for a fight with Joe Smith Jr.
Okay, so Joe Smith Jr. is fighting Callum Johnson in New York on January 15th. So maybe depending on how that fight
goes. He could fight. That's a good fight, actually. So he could fight the winner of that fight potentially.
There you go.
Or again, Bivol's not the worst option. I don't know how all the politics work out about who's promoted by who, so that can make things difficult. Bivol fights for DAZN, which tends to complicate things because DAZN doesn't play well with people who have pay-per-views and who get money off of that. So again, there's the interactions between promoters and whatnot that go on in boxing that have to be considered, and I'm not up to date on all the ins and outs of that. Right.
So forgive me if somebody. I thought Bivol had a fight coming up.
I think you and Pat just covered his last fight, didn't you?
I'll tell you in a second.
Because I know Pat's on. I know Bivol won. I don't know if you and Pat covered it, and I know Pat likes Bivol a fair bit. And Bivol's got a good jab. He's a good fighter. I think Canelo could beat him. That's because Canelo is fantastic and B.
Literally, I should have said that. I should have read a little bit further before I said anything. Literally just fought Umar Salamov and won a unanimous decision in Russia. That's what happened there. So
was that on the 11th?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was one of the fights on there were like 14 hours.
That was the night of 400 fights.
There was something like 14 straight hours of combat sports across boxing, kickboxing, and MMA on the 11th of December.
All right, so
it was a great day.
So either the Joe Smith Jr. fight, depending on how it shakes up with who he's fighting, or maybe fight Salamov next. I think either of those are good fights.
And look, if Canelo decides he wants to assert dominance at light heavyweight, if that's your goal, seriously, if your goal is to assert dominance, pick the guy with 2 belts.
Yeah, that seems fair. For those of you still with us on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, first to the guy that said, "Hey, show us some of the image." I can't. That's illegal. But if you've got
much as we appreciate that, maybe afterwards we can splice in some stuff for that would fall under fair use. But otherwise, showing the stream here is highly illegal.
Broadcast. Yeah, I don't need ESPN
sir,
police.
and look, sir, who I assume, sir, I apologize if I'm incorrect. You have the internet. I'm sure you can find an alternative.
Yar. Hey, real quick, if you're
Fiddle
we're
dee
doing
dee.
plugs here and we're starting to wind down out of this show, if you've got an idea for who you'd like to see Beterbiev fight next, or Canelo for that matter, quick give us a shout while I'm going through plugs here. We'll quick throw it up before we say goodnight for the evening. In the meantime, in between time, I really appreciate everyone who came out tonight. I hope you'll come back tomorrow. It'll be myself and Dan Lasby. We'll be covering Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2, Electric Boogaloo, because
You had
Robert
to do the
Winfree does not root around in the garbage like I do.
I try very hard not to, first of all. Second of all, I'm covering the last UFC event of the year on Saturday. UFC on ESPN Plus 53?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which,
7, sorry.
You know what I roped Dan into? I roped him into doing the pay-per-view in January because there's literally nothing
Which
else
one?
to cover. Gane versus Ngannou.
Gone, first of all.
Gone. Yes, that's what I said.
And that's a good event.
Yeah. I told him, like, yeah, we
I
do
have-
it differently than boxing. We actually do the whole main card, not just the main event, because, hey, it's MMA. It could be over in seconds.
I have some very bad news for you, Mark, because I know you're a big fan of Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
I think Gane's going to win that.
You think so, eh?
Look, Gane has ungodly power. Or sorry, Ngannou has ungodly power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust his delivery system. Gane is a slick fighter. He's got 5-round cardio. He's
How
got
did Gane end up with an interim belt? In 50 words or less.
The UFC gets to do whatever they want.
Good answer. All right, so yeah, myself and Dan
if you want the slightly more history-oriented answer.
In 50 words or less.
Francis Ngannou defeated Stipe Miocic earlier this year to claim the belt.
Right.
Already told the UFC I need X amount of time off, and it's important to me that I go back to Cameroon, which is where he's from, as champion, and give back to the community a little bit, like a combination of vacation, a working vacation, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's stuff he wanted to do in that respect. The UFC said, okay, by the way, how about you fight, 6 weeks later? He said,
listen.
He said, no, here's my schedule. And they said, fine, we need a title fight to main event our pay-per-view. Cyril Gane, you are fighting Derek Lewis for the interim heavyweight title, and everyone threw up their hands.
Oh, I missed Hot Balls competing for a title? That makes me sad.
Given how much you love Derek Lewis, that fight would make you sadder.
Oh, okay.
Gane abused him for 3 rounds until he got stopped.
Gotcha.
That was not close. That was not competitive. Cyril Gane is, again, he's a big guy. They're both large men. They're both 6'4" officially.
Mm-hmm.
Gane's faster. Ngannou hits harder. Gane has a slightly more diverse offensive skill set. I've seen Gane fight 5 rounds and not gas out horribly after 2.5. I like Cyril Gane in that fight, believe it or not. So,
all right. Well, that takes place January 22nd. Myself and Dan Lasby will be covering that as well. As I said, tomorrow night on Showtime pay-per-view is Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley 2. That'll be me and Dan Lasby again. Last week was...
Boy, that's gonna... Can we just be honest about that fight for half a second?
Sure.
It's gonna... Look, their first fight was not great. I think you and I covered it.
I believe you're right.
So, first of all, you drag me into the garbage more often than you like to admit publicly. Let's be clear about that.
Second, I'm trying to find more people to do this with, so I don't have to do that.
I get it. I'm just busting your balls. Second, this came together in like 3 weeks after Tommy Fury had a rib injury or a bacterial. No, it's legit. Well, it's not the rib injury that stopped it. He suffered some kind of infection that messed him up rather than just the rib injury. I kind of wouldn't have hated Jake Paul's chances against Tommy Fury, to be candid, which is crazy to say. But this came together on short notice.
Well, they had the split decision, and so the big marketing thing is,
split.
Leave no doubt.
Here's what I think about your split.
Okay, let's move on. So that's that. Last week was the Lomachenko fight. Myself and Pat Mullen did that, and the week before that was Tank Davis.
I appreciate you guys calling for Comey's corner to throw in the towel almost as vigorously as Lomachenko did. Like that's one of my favorite moments in boxing all year, when Lomachenko stops abusing that poor man on the ropes, looks at Comey's corner and goes, "What the hell, man? You want me to kill this guy?"
So that's what we have in recently in boxing with the Tank Davis fight. Lomachenko tonight was Beterbiev, tomorrow Jake Paul. That's probably it for the year. The only other fight that's happening that we can get to that I have time for would be Christmas Day, and right now there's no plans to cover that one. Only if everyone in my house goes to bed early and Robert has nothing else to do Christmas Day. Then that's going to be the PBC fight on Fox.
Considering I've got SmackDown Christmas Eve, technically. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not committing to it. We will also, for you wrestling fans, other than Robert's SmackDown coverage, myself and Harry Broadhurst, who was our friend in the comments tonight, and we thank him for joining us. We will be reviewing, as I said before, Ring of Honor Final Battle and Beyond Wrestling Fet Forever. I just watched that. That was a fun event. For those of you that are here for not sports or enjoy stuff besides the sports, we dropped a ton of Spider-Man content this past week. Robert's re-airing of Everyone Loves a Bad Guy Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. We did a
be kind if you listen to that show. It's not a good one.
A compare and contrast of all three series of Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguires, the Andrew Garfields, and then the Tom Holland ones.
It's amazing how they all have at least one crap entry.
We reviewed West Side Story. Pat and I did our Mania of WrestleMania on 11, 12, and 13.
And I'm still sad you didn't put up my comment about why Sean has such a hold over Vince and gets to do whatever he wants. I'm just saying.
I'm sure. We reviewed Al Sedano of the Resurrections, Warlock and Thanos podcast. Came on to review Stargirl Season 2 with me. Jesse had a 4-part series covering the Spider-Verse comics with Benjamin J. Cologne.
I'm glad they had so much fun.
They did. And
by which I mean drank so much alcohol.
we had our Christmas party on the Metal Hammer of Doom, where we reviewed A Very Poppy Christmas, which I don't think anyone gave a crap about. Apparently, I'm the only person left on Earth still obsessed with Poppy.
Mark, this is what happens when shock artists come in. They make a splash.
Yep.
And then if you're lucky, they have a ripple. And then you're like the 4th iteration out, where like you cover the splash, but then you decide, I must see this through to the end.
Speaking of women who make splashes, myself and Alexis Haina reviewed the House of Gucci, Spencer. It's a weird movie, man. And The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which was the best of the bunch. And then in the evening time, after a long evening for me, myself and Ronnie Adams burned the midnight oil reviewing the 2 Kingsman movies, which upon retrospect, I'm glad I didn't force that on you.
That I have not seen any of the Kingsman movies, for the record. I'm just gonna say I know people who like them, and some people whose opinion I respect a great deal like them. I chalk that up to an issue of difference in taste. Those movies do not interest me. They have never interested me. And I tend to imagine that if I had to review them, that would go poorly for the film and probably poorly for me, given the army of people who would come out with their pitchforks.
I edited a podcast for the first time in my life, and
isn't it a fulfilling experience to be able to go through and take out the silences, and here's a bit where we talked over each other, so let me cut this out.
How about 20 minutes of Jeff calling in from the Matrix, or having to play music because Blog Talk Radio was having a spasm that night, or the 30 minutes we spent discussing anything but Spider-Man. Yep. So yeah, all that's gone.
It's an oddly fulfilling experience. Look, for those of you who don't know, I re-edit all the Everyone Loves a Bad Guys that are being re-aired. It's a fairly simple process.
Just time consuming.
It's not even that time consuming for me, given what I do. I truncate silence. I listen for like to spots because I know about where if we have a problem, it's going to be, and then I record a new intro and just paste it at the front.
Yeah, it took me. I mean, I started it late in the evening, so it did take me like a full day to do it, but it wasn't that bad. Anyway, a re-edit, re-air of our Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is up. which was nice because I wasn't ever going to re-air that one again because I remember how bad it was. And upon edit, it's actually really listenable. It's a fun conversation between me and Sean, and for 2 minutes, Jeff, on those movies. Speaking of which, tomorrow we're re-airing our Secret Life of Pets review from a few years ago. And then next week we've got the Kingsman Secret Service comic review, our re-airing of The Matrix: Long Road to Ruin, a review.
That was fun.
It was a review of Nightmare Alley, a review of Spider-Man No Way Home.
For the record, Nightmare Alley, not much fun, but boy did I enjoy it.
Myself and Evan Bevins are doing a Christmas triple feature for Fat Man, The Ref, and In Bruges. And then,
oh, that's a trio right there.
It really is. Myself and Jesse reviewed The Last Christmas by Brian Posehn, so that's fun. We've got Christmas trivia, and then finally on Christmas Day, we're re-airing of our Heavy Saurus Raihalista Jula Christmas album. So that's all my plugs. Go ahead, Robert, finish up with your plugs and we'll get out of here. Let's try that again.
As soon as you bring me back on, yeah. Sorry, my camera froze there. And the only way to fix it is to unplug it and plug it back in. And occasionally that will kick me out. So, which is weird. It shouldn't, but such is life. All right. As for me, not right before we did this, but a little before we did this, I reviewed WWE SmackDown, which is one of the things I do. I cover professional wrestling 3 times a week for 411mania.com. AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday, if you want my thoughts on that. MLW's weekly show, which has moved to Thursdays the last couple of weeks, and then their next mini-series, which is going to be the MLW Azteca, is I believe what they're sub-calling it. I cover that on Thursdays. Last week was a decent enough episode. Got a fun-ish little brawl between Homicide and LA Park. So I review that, and then SmackDown on Fridays, because no one else will. And it amuses me to occasionally get comments about, boy, if you hate this so much, why do you do it? Well, reasons. And also, just on the off chance any of you are listening, I don't hate WWE any more than I hate any other professional wrestling company. I'm a harsh critic. Deal with it. And yeah, sorry. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss are... I don't know what the television equivalent of AIDS is.
Oh, God.
But that's what they are. Like, they're just the worst.
All right, wrap it up.
And I also cover mixed martial arts, usually the UFC, occasionally if Bellator is doing something really big. That doesn't happen all that much these days. I covered that over at 411 Mania. Those are in the wrestling or MMA zones, respectively. Last week, I covered UFC 269, which saw one of the largest upsets in MMA history. If you want to argue it's the largest, I might argue about how long you've been watching the sport. But other than that, yeah, Juliana Pena over Amanda Nunes was a big upset by any metric.
Yeah, I heard Amanda Nunes lost.
Choked out in the second round.
Oh, good God. She was an unstoppable beast there for a while.
Had a good first round, bordered on 10-8, but then her gas tank abandoned her in a big way. And look, Juliana Pena got the crap beat out of her, but she didn't go away. And sometimes you can Homer your Simpson your way to victory. Also on that same card, Charles Oliveira defended the lightweight belt against Dustin Poirier in a pretty good fight. So you can get my full report on that. I also host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. I talk boxing there occasionally when big fights happen. I try to limit that a little bit. One, because I don't watch enough boxing to be a deep authority on the subject. And two, if I brand myself as an MMA podcast, I don't mind talking about other combat sports on occasion, but I do try to limit that.
Do you ever get any interaction on the boxing stuff? Does anyone ever say, why are you doing this, or do more of it?
Not really.
Okay.
There's not a lot of interaction for that podcast at the moment, almost at all, depending on which platform we're talking about. I'm on Twitter. You can see it right here on the screen if you're on that. It's at Winfree MMA. So if you listen to that show and would like to yell at me about something, please feel free to do so on Twitter. Look, that show experienced a nice little growth spike in the month of November, and it seems to be holding in December. So at the moment, I'm just happy that people are listening and that seems to be growing rather than stagnating. So fingers crossed.
Speaking of which, if you found us on YouTube tonight, please remember to subscribe so that you'll find out we do this, except for the month of January. We do this almost every weekend, and in the weekends that we're not doing boxing, we plan to add wrestling to the repertoire, and obviously MMA when the opportunity affords it. So there's something always happening at least once a weekend on the channel where we do these live streams. Plus, we have all the video game show, soccer, football, like American football, movie reviews, TV reviews, Metal Hammer of Doom, all of that.
We've probably got something for everybody.
I can't imagine what could you possibly want.
I can.
We can do,
Mark.
what more you could possibly do.
You and I both know we have nothing that interests your daughter.
That's not true. She likes to talk to Keki guys.
Oh yeah, we did get the anime show up and running recently.
Yep. So anyway, the point being is that we've got at least one show that drops a day, and if you're me, there's either two or three new shows that drop a day, or at least one re-air from some time. I have been doing this for 15 years. I've got 15 years worth of content that gets refreshed every once in a while. So remember to subscribe on YouTube if you're listening to us through traditional audio medium, especially for you Apple Podcast people. Please remember to subscribe and leave us a rating. If there's something you liked on the show, put it in the Apple comments and review section.
Yeah, please, if you could leave us look, Mark now has a life goal.
Yep, I want to get on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mark wants to get us on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, we meet a bunch of the criteria. We've been doing this for long enough. We do it consistently enough. We meet those criteria hands down. They do have audience criteria at this point, apart from all the idiots who got grandfathered in, I suppose, because there's no way certain critics still necessarily meet all that criteria. But we would like to be on that, and one of those, the criteria for some of those is a number of YouTube subscribers, a number of ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. So if you could contribute to that, we would appreciate it a great deal.
Yep, that's all I'm asking for, and that's why I'm asking, is that I want to get on Rotten Tomatoes. Other than that, I honestly, I don't beg for nothing. If you like us, great. If you don't, meh. Anyway, but I do appreciate everyone that hangs out. Please be encouraged to find us again when we do boxing, MMA, or wrestling, and leave comments, suggestions, questions, anything you like. That's it. That's all I got.
All we ask is that you not leave a long string of profanity.
I don't even care about that.
No, Mark.
The one that bothered me was the Bible passage.
You are a strange person. Look,
I can look at a long string of profanities and just go, meh. The Bible passage, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
As opposed to a string of obscenity?
That made me laugh.
Like I said, you're a weird person. Look, that's the only standard I like to uphold on any of these things. If you have something other than a long string of profanity, throw it out there. We'll throw it and we will respond to it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put the profanity on screen, but at least I'll giggle about it. However, the Bible passage, I was like,
You won't even put me stating facts about the relationship between certain people in the professional world.
All right, whiner. I'm going to go now. Bye. Thank you for joining us here on the Alternative Commentary Podcast. Be well, be safe, and behave.